For years, I've heard people say that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had the greatest character the world has ever seen. And if I want to be inspired by the very best, I need to understand what made him so extraordinary. So I went searching for an answer. How did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam treat the people around him? That's when I came across a book called How He Treated Them. Welcome to Iqra, where we read carefully, reflect deeply, and uncover timeless lessons from Islamic books. Over the next several episodes, we'll uncover why Allah Azza wa Jal described the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a man of magnificent character. Together, we'll take our time with each chapter and discover timeless lessons that can transform the way we worship Allah, treat others, and live our lives. What started as a simple search quickly turned into a journey through 546 pages that I couldn't put down. And what I found wasn't just a collection of stories from the Prophet's life. It was a blueprint for becoming a better human being. From his family and friends to strangers and even his enemies, every chapter revealed lessons that challenged the way I think about character, kindness, and leadership. These are lessons I don't think I'll ever forget. By the end of this episode, you'll see a clearer picture of the Prophet's character, a deeper love for Allah, and take away a manual of how to build connection with all kinds of people the right way. Let's read, not just to know more, but to become better. Bismillah. Episode 1, the foundation of the Prophet's character. Before we talk about how the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam treated people, let me ask you something. If I could offer you a character that is God-fearing, sincere, patient, courageous, humble, selfless, merciful, generous, and beloved by Allah Azza wa Jal, would you want it? Of course you would. Every one of us wants to become that person. The problem is, we rarely see all of those qualities gathered in one human being. Yet Allah Azza wa Jal gathered them all in one man, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But before we learn how he treated people, we first need to understand where that beautiful treatment came from. Because one of the biggest lessons I learned from his opening chapter is this: beautiful treatment comes from beautiful character. And beautiful character comes from a heart that truly knows Allah. Think about it. You cannot consistently treat people well if your heart is filled with pride. You cannot be patient with people if you become impatient with Allah whenever life becomes difficult. You cannot genuinely forgive others while refusing to submit to the one who forgives you every single day. You cannot sacrifice for people if you are consumed by your own desires. Character is always the root. Treatment is merely the fruit. And perhaps that's why Allah never introduced his prophets to us simply as successful men. He introduced them as examples worth following. Not because they lived easy lives, but because no matter what life placed before them, their hearts always returned to Allah. Think about every prophet Allah Azza wa Jal mentions in the Quran. What qualities come to mind? Humility, sincerity, patient, courageous, reliance upon Allah, steadfastness. At first, these may sound like admirable personality traits, but the more I reflected on this chapter, the more I realized something. These weren't traits they switched on when people were watching. These qualities were the natural outcome of a life built around worship. So let me ask you something. When you hear the phrase, fear Allah, what comes to your mind? For many of us, it sounds intimidating, but the lives of the prophets show us something much more beautiful. To fear Allah means loving him enough that pleasing him becomes more important than pleasing yourself. To be sincere means doing the right thing even if nobody notices. To be humble means never believing you're above another servant of Allah. To be patient means trusting Allah's wisdom even when you don't understand His plan. To rely upon Allah means doing everything within your ability, then leaving the outcome to the one who controls it all. These qualities don't appear overnight. They're cultivated through thousands of quiet moments between a servant and his Lord, and every prophet embodied them. Look at Ayub alayhi salam. He lost his wealth, his health, his family, yet he never lost his trust in Allah. He simply said, "Indeed, adversity has touched me, and you are the most merciful of the merciful." Look at Yunus alayhi salam, alone, inside the belly of a whale, in complete darkness. When there was nobody left to call upon, he called upon Allah. "There is no deity except you. Exalted are you. Indeed, I have been among the wrongdoers." And Allah answered him. Look at Zachariah alayhi salam, an old man. His hair had turned gray, yet he never allowed age to extinguish hope. He continued making dua, continued trusting, continued believing. Ask yourself this: when hardship visits your life, does it push you closer to Allah or further away? Because perhaps hardship isn't only a test of patience. Perhaps it's a test of where our hearts instinctively run. The prophets teach us that every trial can become a means of drawing nearer to Allah, not because suffering itself is desirable, but because it reminds us who truly controls relief. And if every prophet embodied these qualities, then Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam embodied them in their most complete form. Let me share the lesson that impacted me the most. I expected this chapter to teach me how the prophet loved people. Instead, it first taught me how deeply he loved Allah. That changed the way I understood his entire life. Because his kindness wasn't merely good manners. His generosity wasn't simply a beautiful personality. His patience wasn't natural temperament. Every interaction with people was an extension of his relationship with Allah. While others slept, he stood before his Lord, praying, reciting, remembering, weeping, until his blessed feet became swollen. Imagine that. A man whose past and future sins had been forgiven, yet he still stood for hours in worship, not because he had to, because he wanted to, because he loved the one standing before him. Then came one of the most emotional moments in his life, not during victory, not while receiving praise, but on the eve of the Battle of Badr. He raised his hands to Allah for so long that his cloak slipped from his shoulders. Again and again he pleaded, "O Allah, fulfill what you have promised me." Not for himself, for his companions, for his ummah, for the future of Islam. And that's when everything clicked for me. The Prophet's love for people flowed from his love of Allah. He wasn't compassionate despite worship. He was compassionate because of worship. Maybe that's the lesson many of us have been missing. Today we spend so much time trying to improve our communication, our confidence, our relationships, our productivity, and all of those things have their place. But the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam teaches us something deeper. If you want the fruit, strengthen the roots. If you want beautiful character, begin by strengthening your relationship with Allah Azza wa Jal. Because when the heart is transformed, the character follows. And when the character changes, every relationship around us begins to change as well. In the next episode, we'll begin looking at how that beautiful heart revealed itself in the Prophet's dealings with the people closest to him. Until the next chapter, keep reading, keep reflecting, and most importantly, keep living what you learn.